Hakai.
Universe 7, Planet Earth. After the celestial mages escaped, Beerus thinks about what to do about Oob, who is down in a faint. The deity of destruction scratches his face as he wonders what to do. He lifts Oob's fallen body using telekinetic forces. After that, noticing the presence of someone, Beerus says, "You felt something has happened to him, and came to help, right? You're late. Not that it made any difference, that you arrived on time, considering that guy's level." Majin Buu revealed his presence, asking Beerus what he is going to do with the boy. The destroyer's sincere in his answer, saying he doesn't know yet. The conversation is interrupted when Beerus senses something that apparently has something to do with Vegeta. Looking up at the sky, the thought he wonders if Vegeta really needed to get to this point. He then hopes that the Saiyan knows what he's doing. Planet's Quinn. Vegeta just showed off his newest transformation, the Ultra Ego. Cooler looks that form with a lot of concern, as well as a lot of anger. He asks Vegeta what this so-called Ultra Ego transformation is, and what is this strange energy he is emanating from. The Saiyan has a smile on his face, very proud of his power. He explains that this is his version of the energy used by the gods of destruction, and after hard training, he achieved this transformation using this energy. Cooler admits that Vegeta is a dangerous enemy, but he won't cower. The Golden Demon lunges to attack and lands a punch on Vegeta, who smiles as the opponent's fist presses his face, and immediately responds with a punch that crushes Cooler's abdomen, who receives the blow in great pain. He kneels to feel his pain as the opponent approaches, walking slowly and calmly. Cooler gets up once more to attack, this time aiming for Vegeta's ribs, who, receiving the blow without trying to defend himself, grabs the opponent's leg and launches him into the sky. After launching Cooler, Vegeta watches him gain altitude and then also launches himself towards the enemy. Vegeta reaches Cooler and lands a strong blow on him, which makes the opponent forcefully return to the ground. The Saiyan mocks his enemy, asking what's the matter with him. Landing to face him, the taunt continues, asking if these are really the best attacks he has. Cooler doesn't give up. He goes towards Vegeta, shouting that the Saiyan will suffer for this. He lands a lot of attacks on Vegeta, but to his surprise, the Saiyan doesn't even try to dodge his attacks. Cooler wonders in his mind what's going on. Why is Vegeta receiving his attack on purpose? Coming to the conclusion that doesn't please him at all. Cooler yells, asking if that bastard was playing with him. Filled with fury, he gathers all his strength in one hand and launches a powerful punch at Vegeta. The Golden Warrior's mighty punch cracks the armor of the Saiyan warrior, who receives that attack with genuine pain and even lets his own blood escape from his mouth. While the opponent says that's the price for playing with him, Vegeta senses something coming and then uses his own forehead to stop Cooler's next attack. As blood drips down his forehead, Vegeta says that no, he's not kidding. He grabs Cooler's arm, and while holding the opponent, he reveals with a maniacal smile that he's ecstatic. Vegeta lands a powerful punch on Cooler, a blow consumed by power and madness. After being thrown to one of the side planets of the Quintet of Planets, Cooler shows great pain. But the fall did not only hurt him, but also the planet, whose ground is completely cracked. Blood is expelled. The one who expelled it is Cooler himself, still suffering from the powerful attack he just received. A flash of light speeds across the sky. It's Vegeta, who comes from another planet, full of bloodthirst, stomping on Cooler and carrying him across the planet's ground. Cooler is taken to the center of that planet, and his fall stops only when he falls into a sea of volcanic lava, screaming at the enemy immersed in lava as he rips his own broken armor off his body and throws it away. Vegeta asks if that's all Cooler can do. Increasingly furious, Cooler emerges from the sea of lava, heading towards the Saiyan with an expression filled with fury. Cooler carries Vegeta back to the surface of the planet, punishing the Saiyan's body with many blows. But again, despite receiving so many strong attacks, Vegeta doesn't try to defend himself. It drives Cooler crazy, and Cooler says, "Why? Why don't you block my blows? Why are you disdaining me?" Cooler's attacks are interrupted by a powerful punch from Vegeta, who after hitting his opponent explains, "Disdaining your punches? No, I'm enjoying them. With every blow you land on me, my thirst for battle grows. My thirst for destruction grows. That's all the force I need to get stronger." Vegeta punches Cooler in the face, knocking him away. Cooler, not knowing what to do, wonders, does he get stronger even while being beaten? How can I handle something like this? In another location in the same universe, the other Golden Warrior was also ready to start a battle. Already doing his fighting stance, Frieza tells his opponent that it doesn't matter if he was once a god of destruction. He's the great Frieza and he won't cower. But something seems to surprise the Emperor, who widens his eyes in an expression of despair as he asks himself what is going on. In an impressive moment, Frieza, the feared Emperor of the universe, has his own legs shaking. The one who feels so great sees before him another being even greater, looking down on him with a look of superiority. While feeling absolutely small next to that man, Frieza wonders what that is. He's never felt anything like that. His eyes widen in despair. Pikkon, in a threatening tone, gives Frieza one last warning. He must deliver Janemba now. In an absolute shocking scene, the great Frieza drops to his knees as he undoes his golden transformation. With his head down in a defeated expression, Frieza allows the Guardian to do as he pleases. Inside the ship, Kikono and Berry Blue feel a tremor. The small woman asks the even smaller man what is going on. Seeing the footage from the security camera installed in the room where Janemba is being held, Kikono alerts with an alarming expression that the ceiling of the room has been destroyed. On the ceiling of the ship can be seen the hole that was created by the Guardian. From this hole, Janemba's cocoon is removed, which is being guided by Pikkon himself, who uses telekinesis for this. As the cocoon is removed, the leader of the Celestial Guardian says, "Little Frieza, always thinking you're so great and wanting to be above everyone else. In such a vast existence, you are nothing but a mere insect, a mediocre piece of the great puzzle." After explaining to Frieza his smallness, Pikkon leaves while warning, "You may be fundamental in the war to come. We'll need as many strong warriors as we can get, so be prepared." In Universe 11, there was also a battle for possession of a primordial beast, but this time it's different. The battle takes place against the beast itself. Jiren faces Calamor while releasing a large amount of energy. He does this watched by Belmod. Belmod is completely desperate. Jiren wasn't supposed to be there. What will become of this universe now? Looking at Jiren with a confused expression and realizing that the man had something against him, Calamor asks if he knows him. Universe 11's mightiest warrior guarantees that in an instant it will make him remember. But suddenly, Calamor and Jiren notice something that catches their attention. The one who decides to do something about it is Calamor, who, looking at a rock, orders whoever is hiding there to reveal himself. The person behind the rock does as Calamor orders, revealing his presence while justifying the reason for being hidden. He just wanted to see the massacre that would take place there, probably referring to Calamor massacring the other two. As he sees this person who has just revealed himself, Belmod wonders if he is a celestial mage. Things are getting even worse. Seemingly remembering something, Calamor says, "Zarat's memories tell me that you are Zorki. It's a little petulant of you to be in my presence when you are crippled." Zorki justifies saying, "I beg your pardon, Lord Calamor, but there is a good reason why I am this way." What are they referring to? I don't know. But Calamor wants to avoid unnecessary conversation and gets straight to the point by ordering Zorki to say what he wants. As he approaches, Zorki says that being the one who inherited Zarat's intellect, Calamor must already know what he wants. The beast says yes, he already expected that. After all, Belmod didn't come after him for nothing. After saying that, Calamor addresses Jiren saying, "Hey kid, I don't know what your business with me is, but we'll have to wait for another time." But Jiren doesn't accept the answer, and while shooting towards the enemy full of fury, he shouts saying that whether Calamor is better, not even to think about running away. But Zorki interferes by placing himself in front of the beast and pointing his hand at Jiren while releasing a strange energy. But Jiren doesn't back down. He continues his advance while yelling at this bastard not to interfere. But Belmod is not so confident and yells for the mortal of his universe to wait. That was not an ordinary opponent. Jiren lands a blow on Zorki, but did he actually hit a rock? What happened? Jiren himself wonders this, with a confused expression on his face. He looks again at Calamor and Zorki, who are together in a magical room, and then they disappear while Jiren curses the situation. Belmod looks much more conformed than the mortal. Belmod reflects, saying, "From what Calamor said, that was Zorki, the great mage of illusions. There was no way to face an opponent like him like that." With an expression of defeat, Universe 11's God of Destruction directs his eyes to the sky, and as he does so, he wonders, how are things going in the other universes? Universe 6, Planet Chameleon. On top of a large volcano in the center of the planet are Goku, Lei, and Kiboru. Kiboru explains to the other two, saying, "The cocoon of the primordial beast called Hero is at the bottom of this great dormant volcano. But getting there will not be so simple. According to the Book of the Universe, the way to the bottom of the volcano is a big maze, and we cannot dig the way by force, or else the power contained in the cocoon may become unstable and cause a great catastrophe." Goku complains, saying, "How boring. Can't we get there with the instant transmission?" But things are not as simple as our protagonist wants, and Kiboru explains why. "Even if we tried, we wouldn't make it. This place was made so that the cocoon could not be accessed or found, which means that our senses will not work very well. Trying to get to Hero with a teleport could cause us to get lost there, and that will delay us much longer." Lei, also not at all excited about all that difficulty, asked her mentor, "But won't having to go through a maze also slow us down too much?" But luckily the Supreme Kai assistant has good news to share. Kiboru says, "No. In the book there was the correct way to cross the maze, and I memorized that way. If you follow me closely, we won't be long in reaching Hero." Hearing this, Goku asks Kiboru to leave at once. Taking a worried look down, Kiboru finds courage and begins the journey to the bottom of the volcano. As he plunges into darkness of that place, he is followed by Goku and Lei. Goku is not as calm as usual, and with a worried expression, he reflects on having something strange in this place, and on the feeling he has that something very bad is going to happen. Verse 6. Planet Chameleon. In the center of the planet Chameleon, there's a big volcano, and inside that big volcano are Goku, Kiboru, and Lei, who start a journey to the bottom of that place, which according to the Book of the Universe is where Hero's cocoon is, the primordial beast from Universe 6, which Goku needs to reach before the terrifying celestial mages. As he immerses himself in the huge volcano, Kiboru, followed by the other two novice gods, reminds them that they need to be aware of him at all times. The Supreme Kai's assistant reminds them that the place is a maze, that it was made precisely so that whoever enters it gets lost. If that happens, if one of them gets lost, it'll be very difficult for them to find each other again. Goku adds the line from Supreme Kai's assistant saying that from the moment he walked in there, he really felt that his ability to sense his ki and his sense of location were a little off. Goku even says that if he got lost in that place, he would probably need to destroy the walls to get out. Kiboru doesn't like the idea very much and reminds the god of destruction that if he shakes that place in any way, it's possible that the power of Hero that is still contained within the cocoon will become unstable, and this could cause great catastrophes to the universe. Kiboru notices something and then he changes the direction of his flight, stops going down that tunnel and entering a side tunnel, surely remembering the correct way to get to the end of the maze, as he saw and memorized it in the Book of the Universe. While following her assistant, Lei, apparently bothered all by the difficulty to reach the primordial beast, questions the reason for all that. Instead of hiding Hero's cocoon like that, wouldn't it be easier to leave him under the protection of the gods? That way the cocoon would always be under constant surveillance. Kiboru explains to his master and student that something like this has been done before. He explains that Planet Chameleon was not the first location where Hero's cocoon was hidden. Originally, the cocoon of the primordial beast was hidden on a planet named Konatsu, and on that planet lived a race of very powerful mages. This planet was brought home to Universe 6's first god of destruction. Because of all this god thought that Hero's cocoon would be safe here. As Kiboru says this, Goku remembers the day he became a god of destruction, when he saw 3 statues of the 3 gods of destruction that ruled Universe 6 before him. And among these 3 statues he recognizes this god that Kiboru is talking about. They finally see the light at the end of that tunnel, and they go towards that light. What they find now is a large wall with many holes. Surely each of them is an immense tunnel that leads to the various dead-end branches of this great maze. Seeing the many possibilities of their journey from that moment on go wrong, Goku and Lei are a little worried. But Kiboru remains focused, looking hole by hole to remember what he saw in the Book of the Universe and chose the correct path. As he does so, he continues to tell the story. Kiboru tells that some of these mages from planet Konatsu, attracted by Hero's power, let their hearts be dominated by the thirst for power, and then formed an evil cult and released the monster, followed by Goku and Lei. Kiboru analyzes one of the many tunnels as he continues the story. He explains that Hero's release was a major catastrophe for the universe. First, the beast killed the cult mages it freed. Then it wiped out the people of Konatsu. and then it destroyed the planet. After examining the tunnel, Kiboru begins to fly through it, saying that after destroying planet Konatsu, Hiro began a terrible journey of destruction across the universe. And in a short time of freedom, the primordial beast caused unimaginable catastrophes. Finding a fork in the tunnel they were going through, Kiboru decides to go the left path while continuing to speak. The god of destruction confronted Hiro, but the beast was too powerful even for him, who was a very powerful destroyer who even survived the war against the celestial mages. But using a powerful sealing technique, he managed to contain the beast and insert it back into the cocoon. Guessing what comes next, Lei asks if that was when the beast was brought to this place they are. Kiboru confirms her hunch. He adds that the destroyer concluded that Hiro's power could bring corruption, and he could trust no one, be it god or mortal. At that moment, he asked the Supreme Kai of the time to create planet Chameleon, and kept Hiro's cocoon there, hidden from everyone. Curious, Goku asks what happened to this guy after all this. Kiboru says that it is not known for certain, but it is said that this god suffered a deep heartbreak over the fact that Hiro's release, who had done so much harm to the universe, was caused by the inhabitants of his home planet. Because of all this guilt and heartbreak, he decided to step down as god of destruction and disappeared. The three are now standing in front of a large tunnel as they continue to talk about it. Goku is a little surprised. Can a god of destruction step down so quickly and just disappear? Kiboru replies that by the rules, definitely not. Leaving the role in this way should certainly bring severe punishment. But the problem is that this god has not even been found to stand trial. It is theorized that he used the Super Dragon Balls to request that he never be found under any circumstances or anything like that. Lei praises the trickster god, saying he's a smart guy. As he starts to enter the tunnel, Kiboru seriously addresses Goku, warning that knowing this history is very important to him. This god of destruction they are mentioning is considered to be one of the most powerful destroyers of the first generation of gods, but he is certainly considered to be the most powerful in the history of Universe 6, but not even he was able to subdue Hiro's power. Kiboru further explains that the reason he told this story to Goku is so he doesn't rely too much on his own powers, and be very prudent while he's in this place, and especially while dealing with Hiro's cocoon. Goku listens attentively to the Elder God's advice with a serious expression that indicates he is understanding the whole situation well. After listening to Kiboru's sermons, Goku also jumps into the hole following the guide. Universe 7 Planets Quinn. On one of the planets that is part of the quintet of planets, an extremely intense fight takes place, and this fight takes place at high speed around the entire planet. In a mountainous region, the exchange of blows is so intense that stones fly in all directions, carried by strong air currents that are moved by the impact of the combatant's blow. As he fights, Vegeta has an ecstatic smile on his face, showing that he is fully comfortable and happy with the battle, while Cooler, unlike his opponent, has an expression that is not at all satisfied with the situation. The Golden Demon manages to find gap in Vegeta's guard and punch him in the abdomen, but Vegeta resists the attack very well and immediately counters his enemy with 2 punches. Vegeta is again attacked with a punch to the face, but again he responds very well and with superiority, returning the punch to his opponent's face, adding another powerful punch to his face, and then a strong kick that knocks Cooler away. Cooler stops his recoil and concentrates his energy, very angry, cursing his enemy. Cooler returns to Vegeta, attacking him with many blows, such blows that Vegeta doesn't seem to try to defend. While attacking the Saiyan, Cooler questions him about this transformation. How can there be a transformation that makes him more powerful only with the intensity and desire for battle? How could he have acquired such power? Upon receiving this question, Vegeta rephrases the question to himself, and then his mind sinks into memories of the near past. Vegeta says, "After Kakarot became a god of destruction, I saw my powers and his powers would grow further apart." I went to Lord Beerus and Master Whis to ask for more training, something that completely overstepped all bounds, and then they told me about the anti-life dimension. A dimension that functions as the antithesis of this universe is like a big dump. A dump that works as a natural escape for the universe to throw away everything that is harmful to its own balance, a place where there can be no life. Heat, cold, everything there was extreme, and the weather changed from one moment to the next. At every moment, that dimension, as if it had a conscience of its own, was trying to kill me. Not that I was really conscious. It was just a place whose nature is to reject life, and my presence there went against the whole natural order of that reality. I spent 2 weeks there. 2 weeks without drinking anything, without eating, without sleep, and without a single minute of rest, all the while being tortured by that damn place. To make matters worse, the layer of oxygen that Whis had put on me was losing its functionality. I would suffocate to death. The physical and mental limits added to the need to survive the predatory environment of that place, and to get out of there made me feel the purest desire for destruction. And at that moment, I reached the newest level of power. I spent 2 weeks in a place where life just couldn't exist, and I survived. That's why I won't lose to you! After remembering all these things he went through in his hard training in the anti-life dimension, Vegeta again presses Cooler with his punches, causing his opponent to retreat. As he does so, he continues to explain to Cooler the reasons why he can't lose that fight. Vegeta explains to his enemy that he represents Saiyan royalty. He is the one who carries the royal blood of the most powerful warrior race in the universe. Vegeta lands a harder punch to Cooler's chin that knocks him away. But before Cooler can fully recover from the attack to return to him, Vegeta interrupts his opponent's recovery by pointing a hand at him and stealing his moves using his telekinetic force. After doing so, while concentrating a large amount of energy in his other hand, Vegeta says that's why he can't lose that fight. He can't miss that fight because he's the proud prince of Saiyans. Cooler receives the concentrated attack with all the strength and pride of the Prince of the Saiyans, an attack whose impact force spreads completely across the planet they are on, and in an instant, that planet disappears from space in a huge explosion. Not even the mighty Cooler's body could resist Vegeta's powerful punch with impunity, and while his chests are literally cracked by the Prince's fist, the Golden Warrior lets his own blood escape through his mouth and hit his opponent's face. After leaving his blood on his enemy's face, Cooler falls. As he falls among the wreckage of the planet, Cooler reflects with great disgust and frustration. He says, "Pride of the Saiyan Prince, What about my pride?" Cooler continues, "From before I was born, I was a prodigy of my race. My father looked forward to my birth, knowing that I would become extremely powerful one day. But my abilities exceeded even my father's expectations. I was much more powerful than he could have imagined. I soon gained a great deal of respect in Cold's army. I was not only the prince of his kingdom, but also his main general. No warrior or army could oppose me. In the universe there was no one like the great Prince Cooler. But my father and brother envied and feared my power so much that they set a trap for me. That was my defeat." Now that I'm finally free after so long, what do I find? The glorious army I should rightfully rule in tatters? The universe, my rightful realm, full of beings superior to me. And even the damn Saiyans so inferior can now defeat me. Unforgivable. After his long fall, Cooler finally finds ground on a piece of the destroyed planet. Vegeta, floating above that spot, decides it's time to end that fight before the planet's oxygen residue is completely drained. Preparing his Hakai for a final blow, Vegeta decrees the end of Cooler. But the Saiyan is surprised by the glow of his opponent's energy, which suddenly summons a pillar of energy that goes far beyond his height. The pillar passes right through Vegeta, who needs to dodge to avoid being hit, and even after passing through him, the energy goes even higher. Vegeta sees something approaching inside the golden energy pillar, and then finally he reveals himself, the new Golden Cooler, who is said to be showing off his final and most powerful form. Seeing his opponent, Vegeta fears a lot, commenting with concern about the fact that his energy is completely surreal. As he advances towards Vegeta, Cooler says, "You know, Vegeta, you say you carry great pride in being the prince of the Saiyans, right? Well, I also carry great pride in being the crown prince of this universe. Let's see which prince is more proud." Universe 7, Planet Quinn. After receiving a hard blow that threw him violently against the central planet, Vegeta stands up with his hand resting on his aching body, complaining about the fact that his enemy has increased his power level absurdly. He never ceases to amaze him. The one Vegeta refers to appear, already flying over the region where he landed, preparing a great energy attack, says that he concentrated from his middle and index finger. "Take this," shouts Cooler as he hurls the giant energy blow towards Vegeta, who can only cross his arms in front of his body in self-defense, as he sees the powerful attack approaching. The power of Cooler's attack is so great that the energy blast passes through the ground at one end of the planet, and travels through the center of the large celestial body to the other end. The next moment, while flying over the explosion site, which is now a large crater, Cooler yells for his opponent, claiming to know that the attack was not enough to kill him, while showing himself again even more injured than he was a few seconds ago. Vegeta yells at his enemy, asking why he didn't rebel against Frieza if he had so much power. Vegeta flies towards Cooler, who is waiting for him standing in the same position. When the Prince of the Saiyans arrives to attack the golden monster, he stops his movement with his arm, and during this movement, Cooler gives his answer. Cooler says, "Because it would be too inconvenient." And then, while giving Vegeta a good beating, the Golden Prince begins to explain. "After I started training with Frieza, I realized that the potential of my powers to evolve is absolutely gigantic, even greater than his. As far as I know, he was also able to greatly increase his powers in a short time, and he was able to do this even though he had a much lower natural power than mine and training alone. In my case, in addition to having greater natural power, I still had the privilege of having a training partner, which only accelerated things. In just a few weeks of training, I acquired the golden form, which according to Frieza, he took months to achieve. I didn't show him that I acquired this transformation, but I was sure he noticed it somehow, since at first I couldn't hide my power very well. However, after a while of training, I went even further, and I felt that I could use the golden form, not only in my base form, but also using my final transformation, which is this stage you are seeing now. I didn't want to use this transformation because it's still a very uncertain power for me, as I couldn't transform to train like that, because Frieza would notice. My intention was to evolve as much as possible with his help, and when I thought he was useless, I would kill him. Unfortunately, my plan went awry because of you, and now Frieza probably knows everything. I would like to see his face right now." As this conversation takes place on the planet Quinn, Frieza's spaceship floats through space as someone inside the spaceship shouts. Kikono says, "I don't care about the size of the hole or the difficulties, just fix it." The one who was screaming was Kikono, probably some Frieza army employee who was fixing the hole in the ship made by Pikkon a short time ago. As this happens, in the same room was Frieza, looking at the ship's window, reflective, surely sensing his older brother's power. Frieza curses him, commenting worried that he's managed to get to this point. As he continues to beat Vegeta, Cooler says that now Frieza knows the truth. He needs to eliminate Vegeta quickly, and then eliminate his own brother. But he is surprised when one of his punches is parried by the Saiyan, and after doing that, Vegeta suggests to his opponent not to start getting excited. He hasn't reached the full potential of this transformation yet. It looks like victory is still a little further away than Cooler thinks. Universe 6, Planet Chameleon. Kiboru flies to the entrance of one of the many tunnels that make up the labyrinth inside the volcano at the center of the planet. The labyrinth that leads to the cocoon of the primordial beast guarded in Universe 6, Hiru. Supreme Kai's assistant is accompanied by Supreme Kai herself and by Goku, who is already impatient, emphasizing that they already passed through hundreds of tunnels and asking if they still have a long way to go before they reach their destination. Much to Goku's satisfaction, Kiboru reveals that there is now only one straight path left, and looking at the tunnel ahead of him, the Elder God reveals that Hiru's cocoon is at the end of that corridor. In a great hurry for some mysterious reason, Goku asks them to leave at once. Kiboru agrees. After that, in his thoughts, Goku wonders what horrible feeling he is having. It seems that the God of Destruction is sensing great danger. Kiboru moves on, followed by Goku and Lei. Vegeta and Cooler fly towards each other for a powerful collision, and so they do, clashing their fists with great violence. The clash of these two monstrous forces unleashes great power and causes an impact wave that destroys a vast area of the ground beneath them. Cooler punches Vegeta in the face, but Vegeta punches him back in the chin. They pull away and stare at each other for a moment. Then, the next second, Vegeta flies back to his most violent foe. But the Saiyan's advance is delayed when Cooler fires an energy laser from his finger that opens a shallow cut on Vegeta's cheek, who had to slow his advance to dodge this latest attack. But the attack is only to make the Saiyan hesitate, for Cooler to approach in the next second with a strong top-down blow that sends Vegeta to the ground. In order not to shock his body with the stones, Vegeta makes some acrobatic movements in the air that slows down his fall, allowing him to land on his feet. But Cooler doesn't intend to let Vegeta rest, and is already preparing his next move, crossing his arms while accumulating his energy in his fingertips. Cooler fires his attack, or rather his multiple attacks. Such attacks whose arrival, Vegeta watches silently with an expression of concentration and irritation. The multiple lasers fall from the sky. Vegeta waits for the attacks to arrive as he prepares to attack. He dodges the first laser by moving his shoulder to the side. In the next moment, he has to dodge the many other attacks that fall like a rain of death, destroying the rocks around him, also the ground, creating multiple explosions. Vegeta jumps from rock to rock, making acrobatic movements to dodge the attacks, until in a moment, he points his hand at a set of rocks that falls from the collapsing rocks. Cooler stops attacking for a moment, noticing something coming, and what was coming was a group of stones thrown by Vegeta, such as the demon destroys with his attacks before he gets hit. But that was just a distraction caused by Vegeta, who was approaching from behind Cooler to attempt an attack. But Cooler was quick to notice Vegeta's presence at his back, and even quicker to react to it by firing an attack to ward off the enemy. But despite being engulfed by the wave of energy, Vegeta decides to keep moving forward, and so he does, flying towards Cooler, forcing his approach against the attack that pushes him. As he approaches, he also prepares an attack. Despite the difficulties, Vegeta manages to get close enough, touching his hands to Cooler's chest for the next moment to cause him to be engulfed by a powerful point-blank energy attack. Cooler is thrown violently against a rock, leaving his body partially buried in the rocks. Vegeta creates in his hand what appears to be an energy ring, and 5 of those rings fly towards Cooler. As soon as his enemy is trapped by his energy rings, Vegeta flies towards him to attack. But Cooler doesn't intend to let his opponent get any closer. He reacts by shooting energy lasers from his eyes that need to be immediately blocked by Vegeta, which is moved while defending against the technique. When the attack is finally stopped, we can see the damage it did to the gloves and also to Vegeta's hands. After getting the time and space he wanted, Cooler starts to concentrate power and releases energy in a powerful aura that destroys the stones around him, consequently freeing him from the rings as well. Freed again, Cooler flies towards Vegeta, who gets rid of his ruined gloves, and then also flies towards the enemy. Apparently, none of those princes intend to be defeated so easily. Kiboru gives the warning that everyone has been so eager to hear. They are coming to Hiru. Goku behind him emphasizes in his thoughts the fact that the bad feelings he feels only increases. Finally, they arrive at the long-awaited location, a cave that in the center has kept the cocoon of the primordial beast. Happy that everything worked out, Kiboru prepares to act, saying that now all they need to do is remove the cocoon from that place calmly. But when Lei's assistant was about to move, Goku stops him with an arm gesture while asking him to wait, which makes Supreme Kai herself ask what is happening to him. With a serious expression, Goku warns that if any of them approach the cocoon, they will be killed in an instant. Obviously, this statement leaves Kiboru and Lei very scared. They don't understand the reason for those words from Goku, but this lack of understanding is short-lived, as in the next moment, a person starts floating down from the top of the cave towards the cocoon while congratulating the god of destruction for noticing his presence. While the revelation of the enemy, judging by his attire, is becoming clear that he is one of the 5 great celestial mages. Not that the others there know this, as none of them have seen a celestial mage before. Goku justifies his perception of his enemy by saying that for some reason he felt an indescribable danger as he approached that place, as if his life were at risk. Great risk, for that matter of fact. And since this creature, the primordial beast, is trapped, he figured this bloodlust didn't come from it. Goku finally concluded that this could only be coming from him, and asks who he is. The celestial mage introduces himself. He is Odisu, the great mage of the elements. Also, he is the leader of the 5 great celestial mages. Goku repeats the last information with great concern and look full of seriousness, surely understanding that this enemy that has just appeared is certainly not just anyone. Universe 7, Planet Earth. The planet's sky is completely covered by clouds, dominated by thunder and lightning. From the top of the big rock near his house, Piccolo watches all those weather anomalies, and in his line of sight can be seen a tornado too, which is probably one of many in the region. Piccolo flies away from them. Where is he going? In the highest region of planet Earth's sky is the floating celestial platform temple of the planet's god. Someone approaches the platform, cutting through the sky at high speeds. It's Piccolo, who touches his foot on the platform just as Gohan arrives. As he arrives, Gohan greets his master, surprised that he is also there. Piccolo is equally surprised to see his disciple. So Dende called him? Noticing the two who have just arrived, Dende calls out to them, thanking them for heeding his call. Dende is accompanied by Majin Buu and also by Beerus. Watching those who are there with a suspicious expression, Gohan asks the god of destruction what is happening, and if his presence on Earth has anything to do with the climatic catastrophes that are taking place across the planet. Piccolo compliments with the comments saying that he senses a key very similar to Frieza's, but it's not. The conversation is interrupted when 2 people arrive at the scene with a teleporter. They reveal themselves to be Shin and Kibito. The Supreme Kai immediately addresses Beerus, asking if he already knows about Vegeta, and saying that they must stop him immediately. Gohan and Piccolo are surprised to hear Vegeta's name, surprised that he's involved in all of this. Responding to the Supreme Kai, Beerus refuses to get involved, saying that Vegeta is already all grown and doesn't need a babysitter. But Shin emphasizes the need to stop Vegeta, arguing that if this continues, the entire universe could be destroyed. Beerus stands firm in his decision, arguing that Vegeta is not an amateur, and knows very well what he is doing. And he ends by saying that he has more important things to worry about right now. This is a little ironic since the god of destruction's highest concern is supposed to be the universe, but it's okay. Very confused, curious, and probably worried about the whole situation, Gohan asks if Beerus can explain what is happening and why he is there. Beerus claims he doesn't like to repeat things, so he'll wait for the other Earth warriors to arrive to explain what's going on. Worried, Piccolo notes the strangeness in Beerus's actions, and for him to be acting this way, it's because something very serious is happening. Discreetly putting aside his nonchalant demeanor, Beerus looks intently in one direction. What worries Universe 7's god of destruction? Somewhere in space, far away, planet's Quinn. An intense battle takes place in the midst of a planet completely dominated by extremely intense climatic catastrophes. Vegeta is hit by a punch right in the face. The next second, seeing the enemy heading for his back, he turns to headbutt him in the face. While being knocked away by Vegeta's headbutt, Cooler launches a wave of energy which Vegeta dodges, then immediately counterattacks with a Hakai, which Cooler also dodges. After completely destroying the last 2 planets near the central planet with their energy attacks, Vegeta and Cooler return to hand-to-hand combat, with Cooler pressing down on his opponent and causing him to retreat amidst exchanging blows. Cooler needs to defend against a sequence of attacks from Vegeta, which interrupts the sequence of continuous blows for a stronger kick, such that Cooler defends with his own legs, but Vegeta used the low blow as a distraction for a higher blow. More specifically, a hard punch that targets the crack in the center of Cooler's chest, which causes the Golden Demon a lot of pain. Vegeta takes advantage of Cooler's pain to continue attacking with non-stop punches, but receives a hard counterattack. a strong punch to the stomach that causes him a lot of pain. After that, Vegeta begins to be hard-pressed by Cooler, receiving multiple attacks from the opponent while precariously trying to defend himself with his arms. Vegeta closes his eyes in pain as he is punished by the opponent's blows until one moment he seems to feel something like great pain, and then his consciousness seems to begin to decay, slowly closing his eyes until they are finally completely closed. Cooler fills with confidence, charging Vegeta for what may be his final blow. But Vegeta seems to wake up with a start, and then he does something Cooler sure didn't expect. Upon landing a punch on Vegeta's Hakai, Cooler has his right arm completely destroyed. The golden demon howls in pain as reveals his partially destroyed body. After dealing this severe damage to his enemy, Vegeta confidently says that he will die. As he continues to agonize, Cooler stares at his foe, startled. Vegeta approaches the demon while grabbing his side horns, then uses Cooler's own horns as a support to hit him with a powerful headbutt, such that it is powerful enough to create a strong impact wave around him, and also to crack Cooler's natural armor mask. While preparing the next attack, Vegeta tells Cooler to take off that mask. He wants to see his opponent's ugly face agonizing in pain. Vegeta hits the second headbutt, and this time, the pieces of Cooler's mask are scattered through the air. For the next moment, his face is revealed again. Unmasked, Cooler reveals an expression that combines pain and rage as his demonic blood flows from his mouth and his nose. Vegeta has a different expression, a crazed smile, saying that's what he likes to see. "Take that," says the Prince of the Saiyans as he prepares another attack, which will apparently be the strongest of all, the ultimate attack. Vegeta directs his head with full force towards the opponent, ready for one last brutal attack. But unfortunately for Vegeta, his headbutt is interrupted by the index fingers of Cooler's last remaining arm, sticking into his eye, blinding the Saiyan warrior, who puts his hand to the injured eye while screaming in agony. "You like what you're seeing, you bastard?" asks Cooler, an ironic line despite his notorious fury. The Golden Warrior bends his body, preparing a direct charge as he says, "Then take a look at this!" With his remaining eye, Vegeta watches with concern what is to come. And then before he could react, the Prince of Saiyans had his abdomen pierced by Cooler's central horns, who charged at him like a bloodthirsty bull. Vegeta immediately reacts despite the pain, emanating his power in a way that generates enough force to knock Cooler back, who quickly falls to the ground. After pushing the opponent away, Vegeta vomits some of his own blood while feeling great pain, and then begins to fall from the sky while continuing to expel blood, also falling to the ground afterwards. Down, Cooler makes his remarks to his opponent criticizing his current transformation. "You're an idiot. This transformation of yours can constantly give you more power, but in return, you have to put your body in constant damage, which makes your durability in battle much smaller. And there is a limit to how many attacks you can take." Vegeta also smiles, pointing out the hypocrisy of his opponent's judgment shortly after, also making his remarks about his transformation. "Look who's talking. Do you think I didn't notice? Since you activated this new form, you've been losing energy very quickly. You said you didn't train that form much, did you? Something very similar happened to Frieza when he just acquired the golden transformation. The difference between you is that you managed to master the golden form well while you were in your regular appearance. But you couldn't adapt well to the power of the golden form added to this transformation." After listening to all of Vegeta's remarks, Cooler admits that he is right. Both have great weaknesses in the end. As he begins to struggle to his feet, he confirms Vegeta's suspicion as he makes a proposal to the Saiyan. "This transformation consumes a lot of my energy, and I won't be able to maintain it much longer. On the other hand, your body also already seems to be very close to the limit. What do you say we decide this fight once and for all? I suggest a direct attack using all our remaining power. No tricks this time." Also starting to get up with a similar difficulty, Vegeta replies, "No tricks, huh? It's hard to believe coming from Frieza's brother. On the other hand, it can't be easy for you to trust a Saiyan like me either. And looking at your face, you don't look good enough to cheat. Okay, looks good to me. No tricks this time." Making that deal, Vegeta and Cooler prepare for the final showdown, unleashing what's left of their powers. Meanwhile, on planet Chameleon, Universe 6, Faced with the enemy that appeared, Goku reveals that he doesn't understand why the enemy is still in that place. After all, it was Hiru's cocoon he wanted, right? Why didn't he just take the cocoon and leave? Odisu, the great mage of the elements and leader of the 5 great celestial mages, reveals that he didn't leave because he was waiting for him, the god of destruction, Son Goku. He wants Universe 6's deity to show him his power. But Kiboru, Supreme Kai's assistant, is against that idea. Hiru's cocoon is there, and if a fight breaks out, it could cause the power contained in the cocoon to cause unimaginable catastrophes. As he reaches into his pocket, Odisu states that this won't be a problem. The celestial mage takes a card out of his pocket, then jumps out of the cocoon, letting the spell card fall from his hand. Upon touching the cocoon, the card releases a magical light, while creating a rune below the cocoon. In the next second, the card, rune, and cocoon are completely gone. Supreme Kai is shocked by this. This damn thief has stolen the cocoon, but Goku isn't shocked, as his counterpart telling him, with a smile, that this isn't as bad as it sounds. At least now he can face this guy freely. If he can take down the leader, surely the celestial mages will have a great loss. Kiboru insists on his point, advising that they should back off, stating that this is a fight Goku cannot win. But the Saiyan destroyer keeps his smile, saying he won't do this. He now has a more serious expression, asking Kiboru what kind of god he would be if he simply ran away from the one who wants to destroy his universe. The protagonist still says with determination that no matter how strong this guy is, he will defeat him. Lei, equally determined, agrees with her counterpart's attitude. They have to show this runaway what happens to those who mess with the gods of this universe. Facing the enemy with a serious look, Goku says he doesn't like the idea of facing someone who hides his face. Why doesn't he stop being a coward and show his face? As he takes his hands to the hood that hides his face, Odisu decides that he will grant this wish to honor their courage. Meanwhile, in the Celestial Mage's hideout, Tyra screams, announcing the idiocy of her companions. She does so by addressing Brajin and Taran, who are also at the scene. She continues to scold her companions, saying she doesn't believe that among them all, she was the only one who fulfilled her mission so far. Taran justifies his failure by saying that Beerus appeared to stop him. If he started a fight against the destroyer of Universe 7, it would have been much worse. Brajin also gives her justification, saying that the cocoon that contained the rest of Majin Buu's dormant power was taken by someone of the angel race. Fighting someone like him could wipe out what little beauty this gross body has. A magical rune appears at the location, and inside that rune are 2 shadows. Brajin and Taran look closely at those who arrive. It is the mage called Zorki and the primordial beast called Calamor. This last one happily observes the fact that almost everyone is there. As Zorki approaches his 3 companions, Calamor reveals that Zarat's memories bring him positive feelings about them. The 4 celestial mages present kneel before the primordial beast. Tyra scolds Zorki, saying he should remove his hood to greet Lord Calamor. While revealing his face, Zorki apologizes to Calamor. It's just that he hates that face. But haven't we already seen that face somewhere? Calamor smiles, apparently not caring if Zorki's face was covered or not. Goku, Lei, and Kiboru are very tense at the revelation of Odisu's face, who after revealing his appearance suggests that they take a look at his face, because that will be the last face they will see. As he reveals his face, Odisu assures those standing before them that this will be the last thing they see. Kiboru and Lei fear for that threat. The assistant shows more fear, while Supreme Kai tries to maintain a dignified confrontation, showing her repulsion to the invader of her universe. Goku, understanding well the gravity of the situation and the danger that this enemy represents, asks the others to leave this enemy with him. Kiboru tells Goku that he doesn't support his decision to fight. After all, as the assistant said in the last chapter, he has no chance of winning. But if that's his decision as God of Destruction, he can't stop it. Then he turns to his student and boss, beckoning her to leave with him. But Lei refuses. No way! She's the goddess of this universe too. What kind of goddess would she be if she left all the hard work to Mr. Goku's hands? Odisu seems to be very interested in these words of the goddess of creation, as if it was something he already wanted to know. Goku notices this and wonders worriedly if Odisu knows what's between him and Lei. Very alarmed and worried, Goku yells at the other 2 to flee immediately. he knows about the link between the Kaioshin and the Hakaishins. This revelation obviously alarms the other two, but it's too late. Odisu, with his eye emanating flames, fixes his gaze on one of them, saying who will be first. The flame's gaze was focused on Kiboru, who receives that threat with great fear. Goku yells for the Kaioshin's assistant, telling him to be careful, but there's nothing Kiboru can do about it. And just with the Celestial Mage's gaze, his body starts to burn as a great pain begins. Lei screams for her assistant, desperate. Kiboru's pain intensifies as smoke begins to rise from his skin and the blood vessels in his eyes become even more dilated. Lei reaches out to him and Kiboru does the same, as if in a desperate attempt for help. Their hands get closer, but when they touch, Kiboru's hand starts to fade into ash. Lei screams even more desperately, asking please, so that it doesn't happen. While continuing to extend her hand to her assistant, trying to reach him, her hand approaches the face of the man who screams desperately in pain. But as she brings her hand closer, Kiboru's face also starts to crumble, until in the next second there's nothing left for Lei to touch. The Kaioshin falls to her knees, looking at her own hands, which are smeared with the ashes of a subordinate and mentor. Lei closes her eyes, shedding her divine tears. Goku asks Odisu why he did that. Kiboru was harmless to him. But for the Celestial Mage, this is a foolish question. He was an enemy, and enemies must be slaughtered. Completely overcome by her fury and suffering, Lei recklessly advances towards the mage, swearing that she will finish him off. Goku yells for his counterpart, asking her not to do this. Lei completely ignores him as she approaches Odisu at full speed as he remains still, apparently not sensing any threat coming from her. The leader of the Celestial Mages gives Universe 6's Kaioshin just one look. The next moment, Lei is already on her knees. She feels great pain, stating in thoughts that she feels as if her body is being completely destroyed. Lei screams as her pain intensifies, and then blood begins to leak from her body, spewing from the goddess's eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. As this happens, Lei immediately realizes that she won't be able to bear it, so the worst will happen. But her counterpart comes to the rescue, approaching her flying quickly. Goku grabs Lei as he lifts her off the ground and starts carrying her, heading towards the top of the cave. Goku points his hand towards the ceiling and shouts, Hakai! The explosion can be seen outside the volcano, and it is through this location that the god of destruction and the goddess of creation escape, leaving a crater in the immense rock structure in the process. In a field nearby, they land. While leaving Lei on the ground, Goku asks her to please let him take care of this enemy. If she stays, she can be killed, and if she's killed, so is he. If that happens, that bastard can't be defeated. Now that they are out of the volcano, her senses have returned to normal, so she can teleport back to her planet or some other location far away. Lei looks at Goku for a moment, a look that indicates perhaps sadness or frustration or both. She closes her eyes as she remembers what happened to Kiboru. It was her fault, but touching her shoulder in a consoling gesture, Goku promises to make him pay for what he did to Kiboru, but he needs to do it alone. Turning his back on her as a sign of the end of that conversation, he asks her to leave at once, before the enemy tries anything else. Convinced by Goku's words, while drying the blood that drips from her face, Lei agrees, assuring that she will no longer get in Goku's way. She promises that she will keep an eye on the fight from afar and will help in case Goku needs it. And finally, she asks him to make this bastard pay for what he did to Kiboru. The protagonist promises again that he will. Lei leaves there using the Kai Kai. In the next moment, from the top of the great volcano, a powerful lightning bolt comes out. In the next second, the lightning is revealed to be Odisu, who lands in front of Goku surrounded by electricity. The Celestial Mage stares at Goku with his eyes emanating such an element. After returning his eyes to normal, Odisu notes that they are finally alone, apparently enjoying it. Curious, Goku asks Odisu to answer one thing. He knows the connection between the life of a god of destruction and a supreme Kai, doesn't he? When he found out that the goddess of the universe is Miss Lei, why didn't he kill her instead of Kiboru? If he had done that, he wouldn't have had to go to the trouble of standing up to him. Odisu repudiates that idea. Does Goku really think he would resort to such a shameful tactic? His pride as a god would not allow him to resort to such a cowardly tactic. Furthermore, the reason he didn't kill Lei is the same reason he didn't leave that place the moment he found Hiru's cocoon. He wants to fight Goku. Goku doesn't understand. Why does Odisu want to fight him so badly? But as far as Odisu is concerned, Goku will still not understand. He doesn't need to answer all the questions. He came to fight, not to talk. Goku agrees with this idea. Besides, he wants to make him pay for everything that the mage has done. Vegeta and Cooler face each other as they exude a dense amount of energy, preparing to honor the agreement they made a short time ago, to attack using whatever power they have left. Both begin to move at the same time, each flying in the opposite direction. Vegeta, despite all his injuries and fatigue, has a smile on his face, looking forward to what is about to happen. They fly to the ends of the central planet until they finally decide to stop. Vegeta stops his flight and spreads his arms, a stance we all know all very well. Cooler, getting there, he wanted to go, also stopped his locomotion and points his index and middle fingers up, creating a small sphere of energy that in the next second becomes a globe of power much larger than him. Vegeta begins to emanate his power in an aura of energy so powerful that it sends large electrical waves around him. Closing his arms, he accumulates his energy in the palm of his hands, even hitting the ground with the remnants of his exuberant power. At the same time, the two adversaries warn each other, "Here I come." Vegeta fires his powerful final flash, while Cooler unleashes the equally powerful attack he calls Galactic Devastation. The attacks violently collide in the center of the planet, causing an air current and an impact wave that severely shakes the entire surrounding environment. While doing his best to maintain the power struggle, Vegeta reflects in his thoughts about the opponent before him. Vegeta says, "Cooler, in my childhood, I heard many legends about you, the legendary warrior that even Cold and Frieza feared." Efforts equal to his opponent, Cooler also reflects about him and says, "Vegeta, the Prince of the Saiyans, a race I've always looked down on. In all my might, I have always regarded you as inferior, just ants compared to me." Vegeta's final flash starts pushing back Cooler's galactic devastation a bit. This is because he has further increased his effort, and as he does so, he continues his reflection. "I've trained very hard all my life. I've always pushed my limits and reached levels of power I could never have even dreamed of. Still, you can match me." Cooler also increases his effort, this time managing to push the enemy's attack, while thinking, "The Saiyan's power was completely despicable compared to my family's. Still, even though I have surpassed my power thousands of times in recent times, you still managed to reach a level that is making me have such a hard time." The two energy attacks are again in complete balance. Vegeta continues his reflections. "I always wondered if those legends about how terrifying you were really true, but today I realized that it was all true, or maybe even less than you deserve." Cooler also continues, "When Frieza told me about the power of the Saiyans, I didn't believe it. I thought I was exaggerating, but now I see that it's all true. No, it's much bigger than he said." With an inevitable admiration of his opponent, Vegeta finishes his thought. "As much as I hate you, and so does everyone in your family, I have to admit, you're amazing." Also unable to not stop admiring his opponent, Cooler finishes his thoughts. "I'll never say that out loud, but I have to admit, your great pride is worthy of recognition, Saiyan." Both increase the power of the attacks. The final moment has arrived. Vegeta calls his opponent to an end, suggesting they get this over with. Cooler agrees. While using all the power they have left, they both scream, giving everything they have. The battle between Vegeta and Cooler seems to finally come to an end, along with the last remaining planet of the quintet of planets called Planets Quinn. Goku and Odisu stare at each other as they let out a small fraction of their powers, evidenced by the slight current of air surrounding them. As he faces his opponent, Goku wonders in thought which transformation he should use. He reflects that the best way is, before starting to spend too much energy, to understand how his opponent's abilities work. On the other hand, the power of the one standing in front of him is gigantic. If he starts using a very low power level, he can end up getting killed quickly. Goku closes his eyes for a moment, and what comes to his mind is the Super Saiyan 3 transformation. When he opens his eyes, chunks of ground flying through the air, then reveal a crater that has just opened in the ground around the protagonist, as he is surrounded by an aura of power. Odisu finds that very strange. He reveals that he senses a great increase in Goku's power, and from what he knows about the Saiyans of this realm, such a significant increase in power should occur through a transformation. Shouldn't Goku be transformed into some level of Super Saiyan by now? Why does his appearance remain the same? Goku notes in his speech Odisu's knowledge about the Saiyans, but without wanting to dwell into this question, he gives the answer the mage wants, explaining that since he became a god, he can assess the power of all his non-divine transformations without having to transform his body. Right now he's using the power of a Super Saiyan 3, but he's doing it without having to change his appearance. Goku admits that this way is much better, because then he can use the transformation's full potential without wasting energy transforming. Odisu understands the explanation. He points out a problem. Goku's power level remains mediocre compared to his own. He recommends that his opponent level up more to face him. Goku is annoyed upon hearing this, telling his opponent not to act like he's in control. Goku charges at Odisu to try a blow, but just as he is about to unleash a powerful punch at his foe, Odisu gives the Saiyan God a single look, which is enough for Goku to return to where he came from with a series of mid-air acrobatic moves. As he asks in his mind what that feeling he's just had, revealing that for a moment he was absolutely sure that if he'd advanced a single meter, he would have been killed in the blink of an eye. Reaching the ground again, Goku deduces that anything below the Super Saiyan God appears to be intolerable to his enemy. But what about Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan? Odisu already knows what Goku is talking about. It's the blue transformation, right? But actually no. Goku says that some things have changed with the transformation since he's become a god. Goku transforms into Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, but Odisu recognizes something strange. The color is pink. Goku explains that when a divine being transforms into a Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, the color is not blue, but that color. This transformation is called Super Saiyan Rose. He reveals he doesn't like that form. It reminds him of someone he detested, but it's what he intends to use against the mage for now. For Odisu, Goku said too much, which should be summed up in one thing. This transformation has a power level similar to Super Saiyan Blue, right? If that's the case, he'll need more power. Why does he insist on these games instead of using his true power? In thought, Goku reveals the reason for this. He's already realized that for some reason Odisu wants him to use his full power, so it would be good to avoid falling for his strategy and not use his full power at first. He can play with his enemy's patience while fighting without using his full power, and in the meantime he will try to find out more about his abilities. Goku again charges at his opponent, warning him to get ready, and when he is close enough to attempt his blow and lunges forward with a punch at the enemy, he feels something, and in the next second he is pushed by something strong enough to even get him off the ground. Goku recovers with an acrobatic movement in the air, then lands safely. As he does so, he reflects on what happened, revealing that his blow for some reason simply lost strength until stopped. What did he do? Closing his eyes and concentrating, Goku finally understands what's happening. It's so discreet, it's barely noticeable, but he can sense a change in the air around him. Goku comes to the conclusion that the opponent is manipulating the air around him to stop his attacks, but states that this alone won't be enough, so he decides to go to the next level, the Kaioken, increased 10 times. After multiplying the power of Super Saiyan Rose by 10 times, Goku advances with full power towards his enemy, preparing another punch. But even with a punch 10 times more powerful, Goku can't reach the great mage of the elements. But he doesn't give up, trying a sidekick towards the enemy's face. But he's also stopped a few centimeters from the mage's face, who watches everything without moving, causing clear frustration in the destroyer. Goku multiplies himself by surrounding the enemy with several mirages of his body, advancing towards Odisu to attack him from all sides with the intention of confusing him. But the mage, already tired of all this, screams that it is useless, and proves it by releasing a strong current of air that destroys the ground around him. At the same time, he hits Goku's clones, undoing with his wind the many mirages that surround him, until he finally hits the real Goku, launching the Hakaishin towards a forest, and causing him to destroy a few dozen trees, until he finally stops. Odisu wonders if Goku now understands that he won't be able to do anything against him in this form. Fighting a god like him using such a mediocre power level is sacrilege. As he stands up, Goku tells his opponent that it's not necessary to use complicated words. If Odisu wants him to level up, that's what he's going to do. Goku emanates an aura of even greater power. It's the Kaioken increased 20 times. He will use twice as much power now. Placing his hands in position while concentrating energy, Goku looks at his enemy with a determined gaze. While watching what he's doing, Odisu reveals that he knows that increasing power of 20 times is Goku's limit, with this technique called Kaioken. This is the maximum power the destroyer will achieve using the Super Saiyan Rose, which represents no danger to him and his wind barrier. After concentrating a lot of energy, Goku finally makes his attack and says, Kamehameha, increase 20 times! Goku launches the powerful energy wave towards the end of the forest, the wave of power makes the same trajectory as he did before when he was launched by Odisu, heading towards Odisu himself. But when the attack arrives, it is stopped by the mage's barrier, who jokes that this attack is boring. So boring that it's blasphemous for Goku to attack him with something so mediocre. But Goku smiles at this teasing, wondering if his enemy will find what comes next boring. Goku says, Kaioken increase 50 times. Goku again increases his power, releasing enough energy to more than double the size of his Kamehameha. Odisu is at first surprised by this, but in a second he understands what's happened. When Goku became a god, he acquired a divine body, and that body has a much higher limit than the limit that his mortal body had. The celestial mage admits that this attack he will need to deflect, and seeing the energy wave was passed through his barrier, Odisu dodges it. The attack hits the volcano at the center of the planet, which is completely destroyed in the next moment. And then the energy wave leaves the planet, even surpassing the natural camouflage that the planet has, being able to be visible as it goes into space. Surrounded by the dust raised by the attack that was just made, Odisu criticizes that all this effort was only worth raising dust. The mage swings his arms to brush away the dust, revealing Goku, who is already before him with an attack, which is stopped by Odisu's wind magic as the mage praises the attempt, but warns the destroyer that he was not born yesterday. But Goku doesn't seem to want to give up on this move, and then in a surprising act he launches another 50x increased Kamehameha, but this time he does it through his feet. Odisu is surprised by this, and with the powerful traction of the energy wave he releases through his feet, Goku manages to lunge at the mage with an outstretched hand to hit him in the face, and he sees the approach of the blow that seems to be inevitable. Odisu emanates from his eyes a strange frozen air. With just a single look, Odisu brings the Ice Age to the entire planet Chameleon in a second, avoiding by a few centimeters the blow of Goku, who is frozen in front of him, in the exact position he was advancing before. Odisu addresses the frozen opponent, ordering him to leave at once. This was not enough to kill him. The block of ice is cracked, and the next moment it explodes as a huge amount of energy is released. As Odisu finishes walking away, Goku reveals a tired posture, only to a second later fall to his knees as he returns to base form, reflecting on this guy's surreal power. Goku didn't want to use his full power until he discovered the enemy's abilities, but if he continues like this, he will die even with his simplest techniques. Odisu admits that Goku has a very interesting way of fighting, which proves that he has lived a life of many combats, but that won't be enough to defeat him. If Goku wants to have a chance, he needs to stop fighting like a mortal and fight like a true god of destruction. Clenching his fist tightly as he unleashes the power of destruction that damages the frozen ground around him, Goku says, "Fight like a god, huh? Very well. Since you insist so much, from now on, I will fight like a god of destruction." Amidst the rubble of what was once the Quintet of planets called Planets Quinn, Vegeta floats unconscious. Suddenly the Saiyan wakes up, and he does so immediately, complaining of the intense pain he feels. Looking from side to side, Vegeta wonders if he lost the fight after all he was passed out. The Saiyan seems to see something that catches his eye. Seeing his opponent torn apart and floating unconscious, presumably dead, Vegeta smiles at the confirmation of his victory. He's starting to remember now. In the final moments of the contest, he got an advantage, and most of the impact of the explosion went to Cooler. He won in the end. But that doesn't mean the situation is good for him. With all the planets exploding, the region's atmospheric layer is fading, and judging by the difficulty he's having breathing, the oxygen is almost gone. He is also without energy, not even teleporting to another place he can. Looks like he's going to die. But for Vegeta, it's okay. It's not so bad to die like that, winning such a tough battle against such a powerful opponent. This is a death worthy of a Saiyan warrior. Conformed to his end, Vegeta lets his body float peacefully in space. But only one doubt remains in the mind of the Prince of Saiyans. Will he, at least in the end, manage to overcome Kakarot? As he stares at the opponent who has just revealed a new transformation while unleashing a massive amount of power, Odisu comments in his mind on the strangeness of Goku's appearance, wondering why his energy color is purple, like that of a god of destruction, and his hair is all white as an angel's. Could it be that at this moment he is balancing the power of Ultra Instinct and the energy of destruction? Universe 6's Planet of Destruction a few days ago. Vados praises Goku, saying he did very well, and from the surrounding scenery, she's talking about some intense training that just took place. She admits that she didn't expect him to reach this level so quickly, but from the physical state of the protagonist, we can see that it was not easy for him to achieve such results. Vados continues. She emphasizes Goku's feat, saying that combining the power of Ultra Instinct and the energy of destruction is something even the veteran gods of this generation can't do. But obviously there's still a lot to improve. As if she hadn't contained his power, Goku could have done great damage to the universe. But the truth is, Goku doesn't even understand what he just did now. It all happened so fast. He felt an extraordinary power coursing through his body, but at the same time he felt as if nothing mattered. He felt as calm as he normally does when using Ultra Instinct, but he also felt a strange desire for destruction, as if he didn't mind destroying things. Very confused, Goku asks his master how it could be possible to use the power of destruction and Ultra Instinct at the same time. These two types of power should be opposites, right? Since the power of Ultra Instinct demands tranquility, while the power of destruction demands destructive desires. Vados explains to her disciple, Mr. Goku, I've explained this to you a few times. Although the first steps to learning Hakai and mastering the energy of destruction involve feeling negative feelings, this is not the true essence of it. Essence of a god of destruction. Goku has heard about it a few times, but asks her what that essence is. Vados says that the essence of a god of destruction is balance. Goku reminds that she talked about it a few times too, but asks her to explain further, and this is what she does. The work of a god of destruction is, above all, about balance, about understanding the natural cycle of the universe and the role of destruction in that cycle. When a god of destruction destroys something that is doing harm to his universe, he shouldn't hate what he destroys, but he shouldn't feel sorry for it either. He should only think about the destruction neutrally, about how it is necessary for the universe. Personal feelings must be completely removed from it. Pay close attention to what I've just said and see if it's not a very similar concept to the mental neutrality that Ultra Instinct demands. Reflecting on her words, Goku agrees. In fact, they seem to be two different ways to reach the same end, neutrality. Exactly, says Vados. She swings her staff, then lifting the sacred object as a magical light is ignited in the orb above. And then she continues to explain while bringing up a hologram to better illustrate what she is talking about. Although the feeling of complete mental and spiritual peacefulness of the Ultra Instinct and the feeling of destruction may seem extreme opposites, the truth is that both have something in common: purity. Both require to deny your own desires and feelings, and the greater the detachment, the greater the success in mastering these powers. The closer you get to that state of purity, the more you will realize that these two powers are sides of the same coin. When this balance is reached, it is possible to achieve neutrality between these two powers that seem so opposed, and this results in the transformation that you have just used. In other words, the more you let go of your feelings and empty your mind, the more you can use these powers in complete harmony. While undoing the hologram, Vados finishes her explanation. Vados says, you must understand the need to destroy your target and put that need above your feelings. That is the essence of the power of a god of destruction. And at the same time, you need to turn off your mind and let your body act naturally. That's Ultra Instinct. Goku seems to understand the short lecture he just had, but despite that, he doesn't seem satisfied. That means he would become neutral like Whis and Beerus, right? Will he stop caring about the things he destroys for such neutrality? Doesn't this mean that he will become apathetic and lose his humanity? Faced with all these questions, Vados responds by throwing reality in Goku's face. But Mr. Goku, you are no longer a human. You are a god of destruction. The god of destruction, Son Goku, exudes his great power as he makes his battle cry, destroying the surrounding ground watched by his enemy. Odisu, while facing his opponent, finally seems satisfied, saying that this is the demonstration of power worthy of a god of destruction, and also worthy of his attention. Looks like they can finally get started. Seemingly unwilling to talk, Goku charges at his foe while ordering him to prepare to face Son Goku, the Universe 6's god of destruction. Odisu glares at the oncoming opponent while observing his great speed. and when their bodies collide, he also notes the great strength of the destroyer. Such strength that is evidenced when the impact pressure of their collision destroys much of the surrounding frozen ground. After the first clash, both go up towards the sky as they meet and clash their blows many times until they go toward each other for a clash that is sure to be much more aggressive. But this encounter does not happen as Odisu, who was in front of Goku, disappears to escape the direct encounter with the destroyer and reappears above him to try a kick. But using the evasive abilities of Ultra Instinct, Goku passes over the mage with a somersault and finishes his move with a kick that, despite being blocked by Odisu, impresses the mage with great strength, which is proven by a large impact wave that forms around them and by the mage's forced push afterwards. Odisu heads towards a large glacier, while in his mind he reflects on his enemy's power. According to Odisu, Goku's strikes are calm and fluid, but at the same time possesses great power. This is a result of the Angel's technique, Ultra Instinct. But it's not just that. Reappearing behind Goku, Odisu continues his comments. Despite all the tranquility and serenity in his blows, they are filled with the desire for destruction. His attacks are extremely deadly and destructive. Turning to the mage, Goku asks what is the problem. He was the one who asked him to use more power, right? He changed his mind? Odisu responds in what appears to be a compliment. Fighting with a mind so empty and balanced to the point of using the ability of angels with such precision, and at the same time being able to use the powers of the energy of destruction at such a reasonable level, it seems that you are really much more genius than which at first appears to be. You have my congratulations, Son Goku. With this short demonstration of your power, I could already see that you have great potential. But Goku thinks Odisu is too cocky with his words, asking the mage to stop acting like his superior. He doesn't want to be arrogant, but he knows he's much more powerful now, and from the few blows they've exchanged, he knows that Odisu no longer has the upper hand. But the mage smiles at that. Does Goku think he has the upper hand? What a fool's statement, especially considering that he hasn't used his true abilities yet. Goku wants to know what his opponent means. Odisu explains he is a mage, so magic is his main ability. If that's the case, Odisu should start with using his magic at once. Goku wants him to use all his power before completely destroying him. Odisu agrees. He thinks this is a fair request as Goku has also fulfilled his request and shown his true power. Contemplating his opponent's power, Goku takes him seriously. Odisu, surrounded by wind and with the apocalyptic weather behind him, tells Goku to get ready, because now he will show the magic of the great mage of the elements. After Goku shows Odisu his full power, the great mage of the elements will begin to use his magic in battle. Son Goku, I will show you the magic of the great mage of the elements. Faced with the threat of his opponent, Goku shows that he does not fear him, going towards the mage in an ultra-fast flight and preparing a direct hit. Goku makes his attack, but Odisu dodges at the same time as Goku's own arm appears to be deflected as well, surrounded by wind. Goku understands what happened. He used the wind to deflect his attack. After dealing with Goku's attack, it's Odisu's turn to make him move. Goku also dodges the mage's blow, but things are not so simple, and the destroyer is surrounded by a strong current of wind and blown away. Although it doesn't seem like it at first, that was a very powerful attack, making Goku fall from the sky at high speed, crossing a large glacier and also a large part of the forest on the planet. Goku stops his constant fall, using the ground itself as a boost, and then doing an acrobatic move in the air to only then land correctly. As he looks at the sense of destruction in front of him, which was forcibly provoked by his own body because of his opponent's attack, Goku complains. Fighting someone who uses air is a bit difficult. Odisu extends a hand towards him, and then suddenly the frozen ground beneath Goku cracks, only for the next second to reveal what appears to be the branch of a tree. Such a sudden revelation leaves Goku a little surprised. These branches go towards the destroyer, and attacks come at him from all sides. Even escaping many attacks, Goku ends up being trapped by all those loops, and that surprises the Saiyan after all. What are these branches made of? Probably his surprise is how simple branches can trap a god of destruction, but the answer is about to come when Odisu asks Goku if he realizes what's going on. Goku is a little annoyed that the mage is speaking his mind. While landing in front of the Saiyan god, but at a considerable distance, Odisu explains that when a natural element is influenced by his magic, that element ceases to be natural, because that element gains attributes consistent with his power. A simple tree branch, for example, which for Goku would be as fragile as a toothpick, now becomes extremely resistant. Odisu creates a wooden stake above his hand, and as he throws the stake, he explains that this not only applies to what already exists, but also to what he creates. The wooden spike is heading towards Goku at high speed. "Damn it!" exclaims Goku when he sees the deadly attack coming towards him, and with no chance of dodging because he is trapped in those roots, but not for long. "Hakai!" Goku screams, destroying the roots that hold him at the same time as he releases the power of destruction. For the next moment, he extends his hands in front and holds Odisu's large wooden stake that was coming to pierce his body. Goku stops the stake next to his face, and it clearly takes a lot of strength to do so. The Saiyan god is carried for a great distance and destroys many trees on the way, until he finally manages to stop the attack above a river. After stopping the attack, he drops the wood into the water. But the next second, water itself is the enemy, rising a strong water torrent towards him, such that Goku needs to hold back to not hit him. While holding the water that carries him, Goku bleeds on his hands, indicating the great power of that attack that at first could seem harmless. Goku finally manages to dodge to get out of the way of the water current, which goes towards a glacier behind, and simply cuts through the ice. But before the large block of ice falls, it is stopped by telekinetic force. Looking the other way, Goku sees that the author of this is Odisu. The large block of ice that was captured by the mage's mental strength shatters into many fragments, which turn into multiple ice spikes and head towards Goku. Seeing the many spiked shards of ice coming his way, Goku knows he needs to act. He fires towards the fragments, many key balls, which destroy the ice as they hit. But there are a lot of stakes, and even though many were destroyed by Goku's energy attacks, still many kept coming toward him. Watching his ice attacks being destroyed by Goku's blows, Odisu recognizes it as a feat worthy of a god of destruction. But what about this? He asks as he creates above his many metal spikes. Odisu launches the metallic spikes which travel through the air at great speed towards Goku. As he sees the attacks coming, Goku notes that those things won't be destroyed with ordinary attacks. As the attacks arrive, Goku dodges downward, letting the spikes go over him. But of course, it wouldn't be that simple, and the spikes change course to return to him. Goku flies down towards the ground while being chased by the metals. He lands on the ground for the next second. He slides to the side, letting the stake that comes from above violently pierce the ground instead of him. But that was just the first of many others. "Hakai!" yells Goku, finally deciding to react to those attacks. The stakes were speeding towards him from all sides when they stopped by the wave of force that Goku generated the moment he invoked his destruction technique. And after being stopped, the metallic spikes were completely destroyed by turning into dust. After dealing with all of Odisu's attacks, Goku decides to go on the offensive, flying towards the enemy. Odisu points his finger at the sky, then at Goku. The bolts that occupy the planet sky descend at full speed towards the Saiyan, who does not give up his advance, despite the electric beams that fall on him. After evading the bolts, Goku gets closer and closer to his opponent, preparing a punch that is sure to carry a lot of his strength. But Odisu doesn't seem worried. He points one of his hands upwards, which alarms Goku, who seems to notice something coming from below. And then he stops advancing and retreats. For the next moment, he sees a torrent of lava coming out of the ground exactly where he was going. But that was only the first of many torrents that come from the ground, all of which the god of destruction must dodge. Odisu, manipulating the lava, crosses his arms, causing the various torrents to rush towards each other to unite. Then he extends his arms, causing all the united torrents to rush towards Goku. But he doesn't just do that. By raising his arms, he makes other streams of lava rise around Goku like walls. Seeing all of this, the destroyer becomes very worried, recognizing that his opponent has surrounded him. The powerful torrent of lava slams into the walls, an attack that could be deadly. Fortunately, Goku escapes with the instant transmission, but he didn't escape completely, as behind him Odisu also appeared, apparently already predicting what Goku would do. The mage tries an attack from behind, but Goku turns to defend, managing to stop the mage's blow, already very close to his face. But it wasn't over yet, and Odisu makes a wave of flames come out of his hand that completely engulfs Goku, who falls from the sky completely enveloped in flames and collides hard with the ground. Odisu accompanies Goku, also landing, and as he does so, he notes the fact that the destroyer took a hit from his flames head-on and suffered no serious damage. The mage praises him for it. It's not a feat for everyone. As he faces his enemy, Goku thinks annoyed about the fact that he can't even touch this guy. Looking at his opponent, Odisu comments that he apparently already noticed. His magic allows him to control the entire environment. This whole planet is a slave to the mage's will. It is his shield and also his weapon. But Goku isn't in the mood for that anymore. He wants to see what the mage will do without nature to protect him. Odisu is a little taken aback by this statement, no doubt wondering what Goku means. But the answer comes soon after, when the destroyer drops to his knees, placing his hands on the planet's ground and screaming, "Hakai!" Odisu has no time to react, only to ask if his opponent has gone mad.